And for webinar 2, here is Kathleen Porter.
So welcome back, everybody. I'm happy to see you all, and I really appreciate the participation that our faithful few have been showing in the course. And I know that there were a few, I guess there was a little confusion about the assignments and the complication, I think, of having jigsaw assignments with a group that is this small. So I apologize for that. We are taking those experiences under note so we can improve the course for folks going forward. But essentially what there are, and I posted this morning, so you may have seen it or you may have seen it in week 1, there are 18 different strategies that we're looking at, and they're all nested in different families. And so it might help your thinking if you take a look at those 18 different strategies. And then as we're going through, you can kind of see what family they fall in. So I'm just I just printed it so I could read it so you would know, but we have the ones we looked at last time. In week 1, we looked at compression, customization, and contextualization. And each one of those families has 3 different strategies that you could think about. So for example, we looked at compression. It has accelerate course timelines, add an online element to a face-to-face course, offer short-term courses and boot camps. Under customization, we had modify class schedules to meet needs of students. We had modularizing content, assessing knowledge at intake. And then contextualization, we had 3, implement one of several models of IET, contextualize instruction, or integrate career awareness into the curriculum. So you'll remember those from week 1. In week 2, we started to look at some additional components and some additional things. So you've read some of the case studies. And so in week 2, the second assignment was all about support for learner persistence. And there were 3 strategies under that heading: institute a cohort model, offer short-term certificates or certifications, and provide jobs or work experience. So we still have aligning programs. That was an area, and then providing comprehensive support services. So as you look at that whole list and some of the resources that are linked to that list, you'll be able to get a broader understanding of some of these criteria, because I know from your posts that maybe that wasn't crystal clear. So before I move on, let me just ask, are there any questions that are unresolved about those assignments from week 2?
I haven't checked in the last hour or two, but I think groups 1 and 2 had shared and group 3 hadn't, and we were supposed to compare all 3 and choose the best 2. So if we haven't read 3,
That's what I mean about it being clunky. When we assign people to in a jigsaw, as you assign people. So I think my job going forward is going to be to make sure that this course doesn't have that jigsaw that's automated. I'll just ask people to choose one of the 3. And so you haven't gotten a chance to see 3 strategies yet. Is that what you're saying yet? Now, Lee? Okay, so let us do this. Maria, if you don't mind kind of taking a note of this, if we can just post those for people so they have a chance to see all 3 of the strategies without, because right now the way the jigsaw is set up, they have to post before they can see the other things. And so it would be nice to just have it available for all of them. I could also maybe put it in the references and resources section, but anything you can do would be helpful. Okay, and Scott, I see that you think you got it. And Susan and Chu, how are you doing? Is everything, you're on track? Everything's fallen into place? Okay, glad to hear it. Thank you. So I'm going to drive us into the content for today's webinar. So you can see these are the same objectives that we had for the course last time. Today, we're really going to be focusing on the last one, creating an action plan for implementation. So as you're reading about all of these different strategies, you're thinking in the back of your mind, hey, I know I'm going to have to do an action plan. Which ones do I think, which strategies do I think might have some opportunity to implement at my agency? And so we're going to talk a little bit today about not only creating the action plan, but maybe also how to decide whether your agency has capacity to implement some of these strategies. Oh, Scott's saying now I'm having second thoughts about jigsaw assignments. More information would be helpful. I agree, Scott. I'm going to just inundate you with information. I'm going to make it really easy for you to find all these strategies. I promise that'll be my work after we finish the webinar. Thank you. Okay, so let's move ahead here. So just a reminder about the course expectations, trying to stay on top of the assignments, completing things by due dates. You all figured out that some of the assignments require you to post before you can see things. Some of the assignments are just your own reflections that you're posting. We do have some group work where we're going to be dependent on one another posting in order for us to drive this course. So please make sure that you're thinking about convening your team if you're going to create an action plan that involves others, so that you're thinking about who is it, what strategy do we want to implement here? And then I'll just review these deadlines that we have, these kind of hard deadlines that we have. So you're going to draft, and believe me, it can be a drafty draft. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to draft your action plan, and you're going to post that by Sunday, which is the last day of this week. And on Monday, I'm going to go in and I'm going to see who's posted. And then I will assign you to read each other's plans. So everybody will post a plan. Everybody will review a plan. And so your job is going to be to give feedback to at least one other person's plan by Friday, the 3rd. And then by Sunday, which is the close of the course, that's when we are going to have you do your reflection. So if you can just post your reflections of the course sometime before Sunday. But by the time you leave here, you should have an action plan, and you should have gotten some feedback on that action plan, some suggestions to strengthen that action plan going forward. So let me just go back here. Any questions about what's coming up? Everybody's good? I'm going to do my teacher wait time, but I'm seeing some nods. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Susan. Okay. So we'll step right into the action planning. And so we're going to start talking first about just doing maybe a mini SWOT analysis. So you can just do a show of hands. How many of you have done a SWOT analysis in the past? Something like that. Okay, most of us have done some sort of a SWOT analysis. Susan, do you have a question, or you were just raising your hand to say yes? No, you're fine. It's okay. So when we are starting to consider our capacity to implement some of these strategies, we would want to start maybe with this little mini SWOT analysis. And so let's just kind of walk through what a SWOT analysis is. It's basically a quadrant where you're going to think about internal factors and external factors. And then you're going to think about favorable things or unfavorable things, strengths or weaknesses that kind of fit into that SWOT analysis. So what we think about then, the SWOT acronym is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So when a SWOT analysis was developed, when this concept was developed, they really said your strengths and weaknesses are your internal factors, the internal things in your organization that could be favorable or unfavorable. The opportunities and threats are part of that those external factors, the conditions around you that might be favorable or unfavorable. So let's take a look at some of the questions that might guide your thinking about this. So if we're thinking about our internal factors, some questions that might guide this for favorable are: what are your strengths? What are things that you do better than others? What are some of the unique capabilities and resources that you possess? And what might others perceive as your strengths? And then if we think about the weaknesses, what are the weaknesses? What do other agencies or organizations do better than you do? And what could you improve given the current situation? And what might others perceive as your weaknesses? So those are things that we would think about internally. And then if we think about external factors, so our opportunities and threats, opportunities would be the favorable things, the favorable conditions, and the threats would be the unfavorable. We're really thinking about what trends or conditions may positively impact you. So anybody have an example like, oh, we're fully staffed, we have a great team. Actually, that would fall under a strength. But an opportunity might be, we have plenty of funding. Our business community supports this career technical training program that we're offering. We have support from our superintendent to offer more of these programs. And then threats would be these conditions that are external that might threaten you, that might be unfavorable. And so what are other organizations doing? So a lot of times we feel competition with private vocational schools, for example. So if you're going to start a medical assisting program and you have Pima College down the street, that could be a threat. Do you have solid financial support? What impact do the weaknesses that you have on your ability to do something? So you're going to do just sort of a mini focus SWOT. We're not doing your whole organization. We're just thinking about if you have a couple of strategies that a couple of these acceleration strategies that you're trying to implement. We're going to use the SWOT analysis to help us narrow those down to say, okay, which one do we think might really get the most traction for our students, for our program? And oh, geez, I don't know how I did that, but that was really exciting. Okay, so we've gone through this, So I'm going to talk to you about this fictional adult school that is doing a SWOT analysis, and they are thinking about either modularizing instruction or they're thinking about assessing knowledge at intake. So giving credit for prior learning, essentially. So in their strengths, they know that they have small classes and they're able to provide individual attention. They know they have a supportive staff and they already have counseling. They know that they have lots of opportunities for accessibility. Assessing knowledge at intake. So they have a system that's already in place to assess knowledge at intake, and it has no additional cost. So they think, okay, those are the favorable factors. And then the unfavorable factors, their weaknesses, their classes only meet twice a week. So maybe modularizing would be hard to do. They don't have a computer lab. So how would they start people in new modules? They don't have a career technical education program currently. And then for assessing knowledge at intake, the current assessment doesn't cover vocational testing, and they have a lack of presence in this area. So they go on and they consider their opportunities and threats. They do have financial and academic support from the state and school district. They do have an effective pre-existing curriculum. They do recruit vocational students. They could add online element to teaching, and they already have co-teaching in their school. But their threats are budgetary concerns, current politics that are anti-immigrant, that are causing fear. Future plans for the campus are maybe uncertain. They have needs for updated technology, and they have low enrollment. So based on this sample fictional SWOT analysis, if you were at this school and you were trying to make a choice between modularizing content or assessing knowledge at intake, what do you think you might choose? Since we're a small group, if you're able to unmute and say your response, or Scott, I know you don't have a mic, so feel free to just type in the chat. Do you have an idea about which one they would be better suited to do, or what you might choose?
I would think assessing the knowledge at intake would probably be the path of least resistance at that point, since they already have functions or mechanisms already in place that do assessing like knowledge in other platforms or other programs already.
I think that's a good response too. Thank you. I don't think there's a right answer, by the
Yeah.
way. You can say whichever thing, but maybe some of the factors for assessing knowledge at intake. We saw on the earlier slide that they already have co-teaching. They have a system to assess knowledge already in place, so it doesn't have any additional cost. So that might be a place to start and build on. Did anybody else think about something different? Scott, you say assessing knowledge since the school is too small to modularize, but the students may have prior experience that will allow them to skip the fundamentals. Yeah, I kind of like that too. So along the lines of what Tu was saying, if you are able to help students accelerate, so especially in a small environment, so if you're doing small kind of personalized learning or you already have co-teaching in place, you could allow students to skip over portions that they've already mastered. So kind of looking at a mastery learning kind of approach here. So And Scott, you're saying your students hate having to start from page one. Yeah, I mean, especially it's one thing to review, but if you've already mastered concepts, I mean, the whole point of accelerating learning is our adult students don't have a lot of time. We're trying to shorten the time between them coming to us and reaching their goal or reaching the next best step in their pathway. And so we want to be really mindful of their time, and it's hard to ask people to sit and get information that they've already mastered. So yeah, thank you. Okay, and so this is clear. So you'll do kind of a mini SWOT analysis, and you'll be thinking about, oh, well, what capacity do we have to implement one of these, and how will we make some choices? So let me just ask you, you can do a show of hands. Do you have enough information at this time where you're already kind of narrowing down what things you're interested in focusing on, some of these strategies that you really want to build an action plan around? Susan, you were nodding.
Yes, I am on page 3 of a course proposal for an accelerated learning pathway as we speak. I am up to the action plan portion. So this course is really come along. My boss wants this draft by Friday.
Oh, okay, great. So it's just
No.
time for you to post it on Sunday by the deadline.
Well,
You'll be early.
he goes, I have a grant. I need you to write this for me. I'm like, how did you write the grant if you didn't already have the course proposal in place? He goes, oh no, it's okay. I have the money. I'm like,
Okay.
got money. Just got to write it up for him.
Okay, great. And Scott, I see you say, yes, you think so. So you have some ideas in mind that you're thinking of. And Lee and Tu, how are you doing? Where are you in the process? It's okay if you haven't narrowed it down yet.
On my end, we haven't quite narrowed it down yet.
Okay, okay, no problem.
Our leadership is thinking about new charter drafts and what acceleration would look like with that. So I think the timing is good.
Oh, excellent. Good.
Yeah, I'm focusing on compression and contextualization at this point. Because I already have existing courses and they want to make them shorter. So what is that going to look like?
Without losing rigor.
Without losing rigor.
Yeah.
Because they are all articulated with the community college. And so I still have to meet the community college requirements. And I now have to add my board of trustees and the grant. All is a big triangle. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Okay. I'm just checking on you. I want to make sure that you're prepared for week 3, and it sounds like you're in a good spot. So this next thing, this is the action plan. This is a template. And we'll kind of go through this particular thing, but you're going to identify. Oh, thank you, Melinda, for posting that for you. If you didn't download the handouts, Melinda has kindly put them in PDF form in the chat, so you can just download them from here. But the objective is really that we're going to identify an accelerated learning strategy for implementation at your agency. You're going to include the specific strategy, what needs to be done, so kind of a step-by-step approach, what available resources or contact you have for each step, who's responsible, when each step should be completed, and how you intend to measure success. Now, let me just tell you, I am not a fan of busy work, and I'm sure none of you are a fan of busy work. So, Susan, you have to have a draft by Friday. If your draft is in a different format than this, That is okay with me. I want it to be something that is useful to you and your agency, but it should have some specific steps. So we kind of want to know what your objective is. We want to know what are the steps that you're going to take to implement it. And then we want to see sort of the timeline and who's responsible. If you have the ability to say how you're going to measure it, anything like that, that's fine. And I also want to say this is a draft. So no one expects you to do a SWOT analysis and a full-blown action plan in 1 week. So you're just preparing a draft. This is your first draft. Okay. So let's look at a sample here. If you were using this template, so the goal would be for this fictional agency to transition a minimum of 10 ESL advanced students into the business career CTE pathway by May 16th of next year. And so the strategy that this particular school is going to use is they want to integrate career awareness into the curriculum. And so step one, they said they're going to collaborate to design and prepare professional development for the staff. And so the resources or contacts that they have here, ESL instructors, their business career instructors, and they're going to use existing ESL and CTE curriculum. The people that are responsible are their lead ESL and CTE teachers. They are going to do this for school-wide professional development in August. And the measurable outcome, teachers will give feedback on how the professional development went after the session. And then their second step, they're going to create an intake and assessment documents for ESL students to determine their career interests, former work experience, and employability goals. So they're going to use SMART goals worksheets, they're going to use surveys, they're going to have their instructors do this, and they're also going to have this survey ready for August 13th. So if you were going to review this action plan, so let's say this is posted on Sunday and on Monday, I assign it to you. Let's talk about some of the feedback we might want to give to this team. What do you see in this action plan? Maybe we could start in smaller chunks to make it more a little friendlier. So let's just look at the goal. What do you think about the goal? Transition a minimum of 10 ESL advanced students into the business careers CTE pathway by May. So how does that look? Is there anything you would say about that? Is no comment that's okay. We get that. We understand. Okay, so Scott likes the goal. Thank you, Scott.
You said this was by May of next year,
Mm-hmm.
so it gives a full year to identify and help prepare the students to be ready for the following school year.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what they're thinking. They're saying that they're going to do these things in August, and then by next May, they're hoping they have 10 ESL students that they can transfer. Now, Scott has something posted here. The problem I see is the need for an ESL teacher to be on standby to assist with difficult business language. Yeah, so that could be more of a co-teaching model.
Yeah, I know we're only in the step 1 and step 2, but this seems to align with like the IET model where you either have to have a co-teacher or alternate teachers. Because taking those advanced students and moving them into the pathway, yeah, that's hard. The business language is literally a whole nother language of learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and I think we're missing some steps here. I mean, if this, we just have 2 steps that are looking at going, the 2 things that you're going to do in August that may not really drive the results. So thinking about what are those things that you're going to implement that are actually, so maybe the intake and assessment documents will help you identify students that have that interest in going into the business careers pathway. Maybe that would help. And then the professional development for staff, it's not really clear what the professional development for the staff is going to do. So what kind of professional development? And so is it that we're integrating the business curriculum, portions of the business curriculum? Are we taking the vocabulary from business and integrating that into the ESL course? So, like the bottom line is, this is a good start. It's just not finished yet. So it needs probably some more fleshing out. So sometimes I think like asking questions when you're providing feedback, like I wonder about this, and have you thought about that, or what I like about this. So even having little sentence phrases that sentence starter phrases that you can use. I wonder, I notice, I like, those kinds of things would help you provide feedback that we're going to be giving next week. Any questions? You're with me? Feel prepared for what's coming next? So what questions do you have for me? Oh, Scott has a comment. I think integrating business ed into the existing ESL program could have a negative impact on students who have who have doubts about their abilities, and they may drop. Okay, that's interesting, Scott. Thank you. Yes, so you have to be careful about how you do this. And so this would be something that you could be choices and assignments if you had specific students that you knew were interested in this career field. Maybe you have some alternating assignments for them, or you have more choice and assignments for them so they can choose that. I think we talked in the last webinar about 2 things that are easy to kind of integrate in the context would be health or business. Health, because everybody cares about their own health. They care about their family members' health, even if you're not interested in pursuing a career in the health field. Health is a good context for a lot of this work. And then business is the other, because basically, no matter what industry you go into, business will be, it has to operate like a business. There are business aspects to any career. And even our retired people who come to our ESL classes or other programs have had experiences in business. So it's sometimes a nice way for them to contribute to courses. Anything else? Anything you're thinking about at this time?
Since 2 and I are actually at the same school, but it makes sense for us to collaborate on this assignment.
You can certainly collaborate, so you can turn in one plan, but you'll each turn it in. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That would give one less action plan to have other people respond to, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, That's it. You'll get feedback from multiple people, so that's okay. Yeah. Any other questions? So we know the dates that are coming up. Sunday, we're going to post our draft of the action plan. By next Friday, you're going to review the action plan. So this is a week from this coming Friday. So we still have 2 weeks. And then on Monday, I'll let you know who you're assigned to review, whose plan you're assigned to review. And then you're going to post that feedback by Friday. And then you'll have a chance to review your own feedback and then post your final course reflections by Sunday. That's the close of the course. So clear. Schedule it. I don't think we need to remind anymore. Let's see. So we're in our final 2 weeks. So this week you're going to finish up those 18 different accelerated learning strategies. You're going to do your mini SWOT analysis. Again, it's not for your whole organization. You're just thinking about capacity to implement a couple of those accelerated learning strategies. And then you're going to create and submit a draft of your team's action plan. And then next week, you're providing feedback and reflecting on learning. So that's what we have coming up in the next 2 weeks. Oh, and Maria, you're going to talk about the CEUs.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen, and thank you for joining us today. I'm going to take us just a couple of minutes to chat about CEUs. So if you're familiar or not familiar, CEUs are continuing education units. And so we partner with Sac State to be able to offer these to our participants who have successfully completed this course. You might wonder, well, what does successful completion look like? So we base it off of if by attending either both the webinars, or if you missed a webinar, completing the makeup assignment that you find in Moodle for either of the webinars that you may have missed, and completing the assignments of the course. And so with that successful completion, what we do is we fill out some paperwork, let Sac State know who our completers were, and they will send us a form that we then send to our participants where you can claim those CEUs, but for a fee. We've been seeing between $65 and $75. We don't establish those fees. That's completely up to Sac State. And so, for example, this is a 14-hour course, 14 hours worth of assignments and webinars all combined, and they calculate it to come out to 1.4 CEUs. And so once we complete this course and we know who has successfully completed all of the assignments, all the requirements, I will be reaching out to you and inquiring, are you interested in receiving or claiming, CEUs? If you are, then I send you the necessary paperwork that you need to fill out with Sac State, and then the remainder of the process, you work that out with Sac State. As far as I know, it's a very seamless process. If you're not really sure how CEUs benefit you, what they are, feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email into the chat there. Feel free to email me. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you might have. If I don't have the answers, I can always reach out to the team at Sac State to get those answers for you. And that's all I have for CEUs, Kathleen.
Okay, thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
So that's it. That concludes our webinar. Whoop, whoop. But I'll hang around for a little bit if you have any other questions. So we're finished early at 4:13, but I think, Melinda, you can go ahead and stop